Welcome back. In this video, we're going to start using inputs to control the flow of our program. In a real physical microcontroller circuit, inputs would be switches, push buttons, or sensors. The program that you see to the left is the flasher program that we created in the first video. Let's go and check the pickaxe settings before we start to make sure that yours are the same as mine. I'll go up to Options and I'll check under Select Pick Type. We're using a pickaxe 08M and we have outputs on 0, 1, and 2 and inputs on 3 and 4. We're going to modify this program so that we can control the flashing of the LED with input 3. I can simulate an input going high by clicking on it, or I can use a function key. The function keys start at F2 for input 0 and F3 for input 1 and so on. So therefore, input number 3 will be F5. So if I press F5 down now, you can see it go high, and if I release it, then it goes low. We're going to let the flasher program start when input 3 goes high. If input 3 isn't high, the program will wait until it is. The command that we need to check the state of an input is the decision command. I'll pull one out from the common group in the command list and put it over here so we can take a look at it. If I double click on the command, we get this dialog box. The decision command makes a yes or no decision based on this input pattern. If the inputs to the chip match the pattern, the command generates a yes. If the inputs don't match, it generates a no. We can see that we only have the numbers 3 and 4 here because those are the only inputs that we have on our chip. We'll leave 4 set to ignore input because we're not using 4. And we'll set 3 to 1. If I click here, I can cycle through the choices. So the input pattern must have input 3 high or 1 or on in order for this command to generate a yes. I'll click on test and we get an answer of no. If I go and press F5 and drive this input high and I click on test, then we get an answer of yes. So we know that this works, and I'll give it a little label. I'll type here 3 on question mark, and now if I say OK, that appears inside the cell. I need to insert the decision command between the start command and the high 0 command. To do this, I'll right-click between the two cells and select Insert Row. Then I'll do it again. I'll click on this cell, right-click, and say Insert Row. I'll delete these lines one at a time by clicking on them and pressing Delete. Now I want to get rid of this line as well, so I'll click on Start, and then I'll press Control Delete. Before I drag the decision command into place, I'm going to demonstrate adding lines to it over here where we have more room. I'll grab the pencil tool and I'll click on the cell and then I'll click over here and you can see that we get the yes line. And then if I go and add a second line, that line will be the no line. So I'll hit Control Z to get rid of this line. I'll right click to get the selection cursor. Then I'll select this cell and press Control Delete to get rid of the line. I'll drag the decision command into place 2 cells down from the start cell. Then I'll use a pencil tool to add a line from the start command to the decision cell, and a line from the decision cell to the rest of the program. Notice that the first line to leave the decision cell was the yes command. The next line that I'm going to add will be the no line, and that line goes from the right side of the decision cell and it loops back to the input. This structure is called a switch loop. because if we had a switch connected to the input, the program loops and checks to see if the switch is on. If it's not, it just keeps looping back, not pressed, not pressed. It keeps looping back and looking at the switch. Let's run a simulation and take a look. I'll go over to the Simulate menu and I'll select Run, and we can see it in action. The switch isn't pressed, so it's just saying no, it's not pressed, it's not pressed, and it's waiting for a switch closure. If you can't see this looping behavior, go up to Options and check the simulation run speed. You should be in graphic run. Mine is set for about 1.5 ticks. That gives me 149 milliseconds. I'll bring out the digital panel so we can click on input 3. If I click on input 3 and I hold it down, then the program goes into the regular LED flashing mode. So we can see the LED turning on and off as in the previous video. Great, we've created our first program using inputs.